As the rain poured relentlessly over Silverpine City, a sprawling metropolis where towering neon signs flickered against the darkness, Officer Leon Hart, a tall, broad-shouldered wolf with silver-grey fur, adjusted his coat as he patrolled the nearly empty streets. The city was never truly quiet, but tonight the only sound was the rhythmic tapping of rain on pavement. Something was off. For the past 10 minutes, Leon had the strange sensation of being watched. Not by the usual street thugs or desperate runaways, but by something small, cautious and persistent. He turned a corner and stopped suddenly. There, just a few steps behind him, stood a tiny figure soaking wet, shivering and staring up at him with wide golden eyes. A pup. Leon blinked in surprise. The little wolf couldn't have been older than 6 or 7, his black and grey fur matted with rain and dirt. He was scrawny, his ribs faintly visible beneath his soaked coat. His ears drooped slightly, but his eyes never left Leon's face. "Kid," Leon called out. "Are you lost?" The pup flinched but didn't run. Instead, he took a hesitant step forward. His tail curled tightly against his body, and Leon could see the exhaustion in his little frame. "Where's your family?" Leon asked, his tone softening. The pup opened his mouth as if to speak, but no words came. Instead, his lower lip quivered. And then, as if something inside him finally gave way, he bolted straight into Leon's arms. Leon caught the pup instinctively. The little wolf buried his face in Leon's chest, his tiny body trembling violently. "Hey, easy," Leon murmured, crouching to the pup's level. "You're safe now." The pup didn't answer, only gripping Leon's coat tightly, his breathing shallow. Leon's heart clenched. Who left him out here? Leon scanned the empty street, searching for any sign of a frantic parent, but the night remained eerily silent. He checked the pup for injuries, nothing major, just scratches and bruises. But the real wound? That was hidden beneath the surface. Leon sighed and pulled off his coat, wrapping it around the pup. "All right, kid. Let's get you somewhere warm." The pup didn't resist as Leon carefully lifted him and carried him back to his patrol car. At the station, Leon made sure the little wolf was given a warm blanket and a cup of hot chocolate. The pup clutched the cup with both hands, sipping slowly, but still refused to speak. Leon sat across from him, waiting patiently. "Can you tell me your name?" The pup hesitated, then in a voice so small it was almost lost in the hum of the station, he whispered, "Rory." Leon smiled gently. "That's a strong name. Rory, can you tell me what happened?" Rory's grip on the cup tightened. His ears pressed flat against his head. "Bad," he whispered. "They took her." Leon stiffened. Who? Who took her?" Rory's eyes filled with tears. "Mama." A chill ran down Leon's spine. This wasn't just a lost pup. This was something much worse. Leon spent the next hour trying to piece together the broken fragments of Rory's story. Between sobs and hesitant words, the truth finally surfaced. Rory and his mother had been hiding in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. They were on the run. From what Rory couldn't explain fully, but it involved a group of dangerous people who found them just the night before. His mother had told him to run. And he had, for hours. Until he found Leon. Leon swallowed hard, his hands clenching into fists. He had worked as an officer long enough to know that when someone was taken in a city like Silverpine, the chances of finding them alive dwindled by the second. But he refused to let that be the case. He placed a reassuring hand on Rory's head. "I promise you we'll find your mom." Rory's eyes flickered with the tiniest bit of hope. Leon stood and turned to his partner, Detective Mira, a sharp-eyed fox with auburn fur and an unshakable instinct. "We need to move, now." Using Rory's fragmented details, Leon and Mira tracked down the warehouse. It was nearly destroyed, graffiti-covered walls, broken windows, and the lingering scent of desperation. Leon's heart pounded as they searched the area. And then, behind a pile of broken crates, Mira found something. A blood-stained scarf. Leon's breath hitched. It was a mother's scent, still faintly clinging to the fabric. He turned to Rory, who had insisted on coming. Rory's small hands trembled as he reached for the scarf. He clutched it tightly, bringing it to his nose. And then he broke. The pup collapsed to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Leon knelt beside him, his own eyes burning. For the first time in years, the hardened officer felt something crack inside him. Rory had been so strong. He had run for miles, seeking help, clinging to hope. And now, faced with the scent of his mother, it was all too much. Leon pulled him into a firm embrace. "We're not giving up," he whispered. And he meant it. The days that followed were filled with tireless searching. Every lead, every witness, every shadow in Silverpine City, Leon chased them all. Until finally they found her, bound, battered, but alive. The moment Rory saw her, he let out a broken cry and sprinted forward. "Mama!" She caught him, sobbing as she held him close. Leon turned away, blinking back his own tears. He had seen many tragedies in his career, but tonight he had helped mend a broken family. As Rory turned back to him, his little paws clutching Leon's coat once more, Leon knew one thing for certain. He would never let this pup be alone again. Silverpine was full of lost souls, but this one had found his way home. And Leon, He had just found the son he never knew he needed. Officer Leon Hart had always been a protector. As a dedicated member of Silver Pine City's police force, his life revolved around upholding justice and keeping the streets safe. But despite all the cases he had worked, all the crimes he had solved, nothing had ever prepared him for the night a small, trembling pup latched onto him, silent, desperate, and alone. From the moment Leon spotted the little wolf trailing him through the rain, something inside him stirred. He had encountered lost children before, runaways escaping cruel homes, orphans trying to survive in the harsh city. But this was different. This pup wasn't just lost, he was searching. And not just for safety, but for something deeper. When Rory ran into Leon's arms, it was more than a simple cry for help. It was an instinctive act of trust. The tiny wolf didn't know who Leon was, didn't know if he was kind or cruel, but in that moment, his instincts told him that this officer, this towering, gruff-looking figure was the one who could protect him. It was as if Rory had spent all his strength running, searching for the one person who wouldn't turn him away. And Leon couldn't. From the moment he wrapped his coat around the shivering pup, he knew he wouldn't let him go. He didn't know why, but something in the little wolf's golden eyes stirred emotions he hadn't felt in years. Maybe it was because Rory looked at him with something other than fear. He looked at him with hope. As the night unfolded, Leon found himself becoming more than just a police officer trying to solve a case. He became a guardian, a protector not just of the city but of this single, frightened soul who had nowhere else to turn. Every time Rory flinched at a loud sound, every time he hesitated before speaking, every time his little paws clutched Leon's coat tighter, Leon felt the weight of responsibility settle deeper into his chest. And then came the realization that shattered him. Rory wasn't just lost, he had been running from something terrible. Someone had taken his mother. Someone had left him with nothing but fear and the desperate hope that someone somewhere would help him. And when Leon truly understood that, when he saw the pain in the pup's eyes as he whispered, "They took her," something inside him broke. Leon had faced criminals, murderers, and all manner of cruelty in his time as an officer, but nothing affected him like this small pup clinging to his coat, looking up at him with silent, pleading eyes. Because for the first time in years he saw himself. Leon had been abandoned too. He had once been a scared little cub in the streets, waiting for someone to save him. No one ever had. He had grown up alone, hardened by the world, forcing himself to believe that emotions only got in the way of survival. But now, looking at Rory, he realized that maybe, just maybe, things could be different. Maybe he could be the person this pup needed. Maybe he could be the one who wouldn't turn away. As the days passed, their bond only grew stronger. Rory, once silent and terrified, began to trust again. He started looking to Leon for reassurance, following him like a shadow, never letting him out of sight. At night, he curled up under Leon's coat, unwilling to be alone ever again. And Leon? He found himself willing to do anything to keep the little wolf safe. It wasn't just a duty anymore. It wasn't just another case. It was family. Rory hadn't just found an officer that night. He had found a father. Silver Pine City was a place where hope often felt like an illusion. Darkness lurked in its corners, crime, corruption, and the desperate struggles of those who had nowhere else to turn. Officer Leon Hart had seen it all. He had long since stopped believing in miracles. But then, a little wolf pup named Rory stumbled into his life, and everything changed. From the moment Rory clung to him, trembling and silent, Leon knew the pup had endured something terrible. A child didn't run through the rain, barefoot and exhausted, unless they were fleeing from something or someone. When Rory finally whispered the heartbreaking truth that they took her, Leon felt the weight of those words settle deep into his bones. Rory's mother had been taken. It was a phrase Leon had heard too many times before. In a city like Silver Pine, people disappeared every day. Some were never found. Others turned up too late, and for a child as young as Rory, the odds of reunion were slim. But Leon refused to accept that. He had seen too much despair in his life, too many cases where no one came to help. He refused to let Rory's story end that way. For days, he and his partner, Detective Mira, chased every lead, interrogated every lowlife, and searched every abandoned building. The deeper they dug, the more Leon realized how truly alone Rory and his mother had been. No family, no safety net, just a mother and son, running from something they could never outrun. Yet despite everything, Rory had never given up. Even as he shivered in the rain, even as fear clung to him like a second skin, he had kept moving, kept searching. He had believed against all logic, against all odds, that someone would help him, that someone would care. That hope had led him straight to Leon. And in turn, Leon had made Rory a promise: we'll find her. It was a promise he refused to break. Even when they found the abandoned warehouse, bloodstains on the floor and shadows lingering in the air, he didn't let despair win. Even when they discovered Rory's mother's scarf, torn and soaked in crimson, he refused to say the words he had been forced to say too many times before. Because Rory still believed, and so did he. Then came the break they had been waiting for. A lead. A location. A chance. They stormed an old hideout on the city's outskirts where traffickers and criminals thought no one would come looking. Gunfire rang through the night, but Leon didn't stop. His heart pounded as he searched through the darkness, every second stretching into eternity. And then a weak voice, a broken figure, Rory's mother, alive, battered, bruised, but breathing. The moment Rory saw her, he didn't hesitate. He tore free from Leon's grip, his little legs carrying him forward faster than Leon had ever seen. The second his mother opened her arms, Rory crashed into her, sobbing uncontrollably. Leon turned away, his own vision blurring. He had seen too much loss in this world. But tonight, there was something else. Hope. Rory had never stopped believing. And because of that, he got his mother back. As the two held each other tightly, Leon felt something shift inside him. Not all stories had to end in tragedy. Sometimes, against all odds, hope won.